I think for us, obviously, it's very unfortunate that some of our people were deported. Our engagements with the authorities have been to say we respect the process. We'd very much like to understand in more detail what the specific issues were, to see if we need to take any action on our side. So we have a dialogue about that. And also just to give our own people comfort. If you work in the company, it's a very difficult time. For my people here in MTN Uganda that have to run the company, look after customers, keep the network up and running. So I think we need to try and get some closure on that matter, so we can communicate clearly to our people. And we are discussing that at some level of detail currently. What our people did wrong, so we can know whether we must take any further actions. And let's also work together to stabilize the situation. It's a big company. It needs to be properly run, both for investors like MTN, but also for the citizens of the country who are relying on MTN Uganda for many of their telecommunications needs. I think some of the highlights from my perspective was we had strong growth in service revenue, almost 11%. We were very pleased with the performance of some of the newer parts of the business. So data, which is a big growth driver of the industry going forward, up almost 22%. Our mobile financial services business, of course we know it here in Uganda, MTN Momo, this grew more than 40% across the 14 markets that we're based in. That we would be broadening the ownership in 2019 in 3 key markets. Nigeria, which is due for a listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange in May, also Uganda, and also Zambia. So if you look particularly at Uganda, we have 4% participation of Ugandans in the market, and we'd like to broaden that during the course of 2019. For Uganda, we'd like to target to move it from 4% to 20%. What we now need to do is really engage in the market and with the authorities as to what is the demand, how much funds are available, how best to structure that. It may be that we have to do it in 1 or 2 steps. This has also been the case in many of the markets. But to go from 4 to 20, it's almost 5 times the participation of today, and I think that would be a meaningful step. I think this is something that needs to be worked on. I think it's known that we've been in discussions with the NSSF. This is a potential investor in MTN Uganda. Represents more than 2 million Ugandan policyholders. So this is a way to get broad-based participation without necessarily having to go through all the complexity of the listing. But we have an open mind also for the listing. I think it's really just a question of what is the demand for the pension fund managers? What is the demand for business people that might want to come in to the market? How are the conditions for local listings? We've seen some examples in Africa where companies have listed on the local exchange, and then after the listing, the price has gone right down, even though the company is doing well. I think there's a case study, if you look in Tanzania, after Vodacom listed there. So that would not be something we would want to happen. To get many people excited about the company and then see that decline. No, I think we have a very good dialogue with the UCC, discussing all the different aspects of it. It is complex also because the policy environment is also changing. We have the traditional SNO license, we have the new broadband policy. The regulator is looking at licensing the national service operators in the future. So the MTN Uganda license renewal comes at a complicated time. And I think that's why I just said earlier that It's important we just work through it very systematically to get something that will work for a long period.
We still have the political situation